Welcome to the Golf Fitness Bomb Squad podcast with Chris Finn, a production of P4S Golf. Welcome to the Golf Fitness Bomb Squad. I'm your host, Chris Finn, and today I'm excited to have a guest with me who actually early on, before I didn't even really know what a podcast was, this guy was generous enough to actually have me on his podcast. So multiple times. It's an absolute honor to have Fred Greene with me. For those of you who may have been living under a rock, his show, Golf Smarter, is literally probably one of the first podcasts. I think it was 2005. Basically a pioneer in the space of golf podcasting. Talks about everything from course management, strategy, tips, drills, advice, insights from professionals. Yours truly got the opportunity to be on there. But Fred, it is an absolute honor to have you on the show today. Thanks so much for being with us.
Well, Chris, it's an absolute honor to be on your show. You've been on Golf Smarter 3 times since 2018. And each time I walk away with something like, oh, I didn't know that. I needed to know that. That's good. So congratulations on and welcome to the podcast space. I was not the first golf podcast. There were a couple of others when I arrived. And
yes. So what was the landscape like when you came?
But I must say, I'm the only one still standing.
I would take that bet to the house. I can't imagine there's many other shows.
Longest running golf podcast with close to we're getting real close to 950 episodes.
Jeez Louise, that's wild. Hey, so and this is totally a selfish question. I've never actually gotten to ask you, like, how did you get into the podcast thing? Like how do you get into something that, almost 20 years later now you're still doing it? Like what was the path that brought you there? And, I'd just love to hear kind of the origin story on that.
Yeah. The how is interesting. The why is even more. It's like, why are we still doing this after that long? What is the point? But the how was, what's interesting about this is that I feel like I've been podcasting my whole life. I started doing audio production when I was a teenager.
Oh, wow.
And then I was in radio. And then I did a national radio syndication. And then I was independent and doing corporate audio. And so for me, I'm doing what I've always done. The difference is distribution.
Right.
That's really the only difference. Like I said, I did a national radio syndication, trying to get it on radio stations across the country. I was a disc jockey. My wife and I met working in rock and roll radio in San Francisco in the 70s.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right? And I can see your head spinning right now. Yeah. All the things going, oh, wow, it was San Francisco in the 70s. Yeah, that's all true.
A lot more questions just came into my head.
Yeah, it's all true. Just run with it, right?
Yeah.
And so when podcasting happened, yes, my dog is barking if you can hear it. When podcasting started to happen in early 2005, I was trying to develop a golf video idea. Mm-hmm. And it was just when the iPod came out with iPod video. Now, when I started the podcast, it was a year and a half before the iPhone came out.
Wow.
So I would call golf instructors and mainly call golf courses because I was trying to create this video. Mm-hmm. And I figured, well, I'm not having a lot of traction getting into golf courses with this idea. Maybe if I just told them that I'm going to do an infomercial about them and put it on the internet, I would get some more reaction. Yeah. So that's what I did. I started calling golf courses and I had just finished the book Zen Golf by Dr. Joe Parent. And I'm like, I talked to a friend of mine who was already in the podcast space, but on the tech side.
Okay. Yeah.
Very, very popular tech podcast. And I said, how do I start with a podcast? And he said, get somebody big name. So I'm like, okay. So I called Joe Parent and I said, would you mind being on my podcast? Yeah. And like everybody in those days, when I said, I'd like to do a podcast with you and put it on iTunes, they had 2 questions. What's a podcast and what's iTunes?
That is wildly familiar to when I started doing the golf fitness stuff back in 2011, 12. And they'd say, well, wait, what do you do? Golf what? What is that?
Right. Golf fitness?
Yeah.
Like, you mean like
walking
a golf course?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's so funny.
So
so from there,
it just
what is a
took off,
podcast, and then it just goes from there, huh?
And I started getting emails from people all over the world saying, I really am enjoying your content, but this golf course you're talking about, I'm never going to play there. So can you talk about other things? And I'm like, well, it's gaining some traction. So I'm just start talking to golf instructors, because honestly, I didn't start playing golf until, let's see, I was in my early 40s. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And my kid went to a camp,
Mm-hmm.
a golf camp in the summer. And he came home one day and said, hey, you want to know what I learned at golf camp today? He was 12. And I said, yeah, what'd you learn? He said, golf etiquette. I'm like, wait, you learned about etiquette? He goes, yeah, can I show you? And I said, I'd love for you to show me, please. Yeah. We went out to the local golf course where his camp was. Yeah. And I got hooked. I was just like, wow, this is great. Now I knew golf was there. I'd been involved in sports marketing for 20 years. And in 1994, I actually had my business out at the Ryder Cup in Chester, New York. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, and so I just got hooked. And when the podcast started to happen, I figured this is going to be a great way to get free golf lessons. If I just talk to
spoken like somebody truly bit by the golf bug.
Right. I don't want to take lessons. I don't want to interact with people, but I love to talk to people about this. So I just started interviewing instructors and really focusing on the mental game, because my approach was, from the very beginning, it was, I believe that you can lower your scores faster if you work on course management, strategy, and the mental part of the game than if you just focus on swing mechanics. Yeah. And every instructor I've talked to said, yep, that's true. That's true. So I talked to a lot of golf psychologists, sports psychologists, and it's really gone beyond that to hypnotists, and professors of psychology and physiology. And I can't tell you how many places it's gone that I never would have guessed. But
so when you think about that whole like, I guess, that wide breadth of people that you've gotten to speak to, I mean, who are like a couple of your, like, I guess, most interesting, and we'll go 2 questions. If you think of a couple of most interesting or I guess things that you never would have guessed, but surprising maybe is a better word. And then I guess any kind of that have been your favorites over the years.
Well, there's 2 things. So, there's golf instruction, which is always helpful. And then there's great stories, which I'm always seeking out. I came from media, right? I was trained as a recording engineer. I worked in radio. I studied radio in college and all that stuff. So this has always been my thing. So as far as instruction, there was one instructor that we had, I think he was on the show like 12 or 13 times between 2010 and 2018 when he passed away. And his name was Tony Manzoni. And Tony was the coach of the College of the Desert golf team, which is a community college in Coachella Valley, which is Palm Springs, basically. Yeah. And Tony was an amazing instructor. And every single time he was on the show, I would get more emails from people saying, how do I get to that guy? How do I learn more? Where do I find him? And Tony, like I said, passed away in 2018. He was in his early 80s when he passed away. He had written a book called The Lost Fundamental. And the book was out of print. It had just run its course and he never reprinted it. Yeah. And then he created a video that he printed some DVDs at the time, and those ran out as well. And once he passed away, and because of the reaction that I always got from the audience, once he passed away, the author of the book, who I found, together, we went to Tony's widow and asked if we can get the book back in print and make it available on Kindle, which we did. And can we make that video available online? So each year since then, since 2019 was the anniversary of him passing away, I start each golf season in March by playing Tony's episodes in a row. I do new episodes on Tuesdays, and then I do past episodes on Fridays.
Right.
Initially, we were calling it Golf Smarter Mulligans.
Makes sense.
And it was a separate podcast, but just recently we folded it into Golf Smarter. So now that if you subscribe to Golf Smarter from wherever you get your podcasts, it's on twice a week. And we've been doing Tony and offering people the video, and all they have to do is, they can purchase the video if they'd like, but we offer a free version as well. And all they have to do is become one of our Golf Smarter ambassadors. And the way to become a Golf Smarter ambassador, I've been doing this for a couple of years now. I've done over 100 of these. I have listeners introduce each episode.
That's pretty cool.
I learned that from Radio Lab, listening to their podcast. They have their listeners. So what I do is have the listeners say, "Hi, this is Fred Greene, and I listen." Hi, this is Fred Greene from Novato, California, and I play at Rooster Run Golf Course. This is Golf Smarter number 950.
Yeah. Wow, what a cool idea. Yeah.
Thank you. And so people from all over the world. I get Australia and Sweden and UK and Canada and recently Brazil. I mean, people from all over the world saying where they're from and where they play and introducing an episode. So that's been really cool. So this is the longest answer. And so yeah,
it's a good answer.
Thank you. Tony is one of the favorites that we always had. I've had a guy, Jim Waldron, teaches out of Oregon. He's been on the show maybe 30 times. Wow. He loves to try to make up numbers. Yeah. Then there's many teachers that I've had on multiple times that have been phenomenal, including Dr. Joe Parent. Episode number 1 was Dr. Joe Parent. And that's the thing about my podcast that I think that it creates value, is that episode 1 is just as valuable today as it was in 2005 when we released it, because it's golf instruction.
Right.
Yeah. So many other podcasts talk about the PGA Tour, which by the time my show comes out on Tuesday afternoon, that's old news.
Exactly. Yeah. The news cycles run.
Yeah. And plus, I don't have the resources. I don't have Golf Channel. I don't have ESPN and NBC to go out and report for me and report back. I've interviewed people from those places. Recently, Matt Janella from the Golf Channel was on.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
Oh, he's great. But
that guy plays more golf at more different places. I'm so jealous of.
I know. And so, and I've had Bob Costas on, and I've had Dave Pells on, I've had some big names. So that's one element of the show. But I have a serious case of ADD, so I can't do the same topic every week. So,
right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So the other thing I love, and some of my favorite, have been some of the golf stories that we've had. And my all-time favorite golf story was this young man in his early 20s, lived in San Francisco, was not born in the United States, but, moved here early with his parents when he was a young man, and loved golf. Was an okay golfer, but not great, maybe mid-handicap, but he really wanted to play in an open championship, some country's open. And he's like, how am I going to do this? And he figured it out. Because he had a European passport, he was able to do this. He snuck into and played in the North Korean Open.
No way.
Right. And so it's a great episode. It's a fascinating story. He tells some really outrageous things about what happened to him. Like, first he flew to China, and then he flew to North Korea. And while he's on the plane between China and North Korea, he feels this head over his shoulder looking at him, trying to read, like following what he's doing. It's like, this is for real.
Yeah.
Right. And he gets there and he's told, all right, you're not allowed to take pictures on holes 4 through 7. Any other time you can take pictures, but not holes 4 through 7. And it's like, why not? Yeah, you just can't.
Yeah.
Right? And he has a handler there that's who greeted him at the airport and started giving him the rules. And he's walking down the fairway on number 5, and there's people in the bushes with binoculars watching. He's like, oh, they're serious about it. And then after I think the second or third round, he was playing pretty well.
Yeah.
He was really excited. Second or third round, he goes back to his hotel room. And he goes to open the safe in his hotel room to take out his wallet and whatnot. And he can't open the safe. And he tries again and again, and he can't open the safe. So he goes to his handler and says, I can't get inside my safe to get my stuff out. And she said, what are you hiding? It's like, what?
Oh, no.
Goes, why do you need to put things in a safe?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, in the United States where I live now, it's just a regular thing. You go to a hotel, you put stuff in there just to keep it safe so somebody doesn't walk in and take it. She goes, all right, that's a good answer. We'll get it open for you. It's like, oh man. So he goes into the final day of this of the tournament, and he's in second place.
Oh my God.
And there's a guy 2 strokes ahead of him, Japanese gentleman, gets to the 18th hole, and they're tied. And he freaks out.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't win this thing. I don't know what would happen if I did. So he got an 8 on the par 4 18th hole, and came in second place, and came home and went right back to work.
Yeah.
And I talked to him about this a few years after he had done this. And I was like, have you ever told anybody the story? He's like, no. I said, what do you mean? The press has never asked you about this? He went, no. I said, why not? He goes, I don't know. I just never told anybody. I just went back to work. It's
That's an amazing story.
So we have an exclusive here on this story. This is crazy. Yeah. So
wow, that's amazing. What are you hiding, sir?
And then there's the story of the 62-year-old guy who was playing golf with some buddies, and one of the people in his group that he had just met was the local college golf coach, the community college.
Yeah.
And he had a great day that day. And the guy said, hey, you have any college eligibility left? He goes, as a matter of fact, I played baseball in college and got injured. So yeah, I'm still eligible. He goes, you want to be on our team? Like, what? Yeah, you can be on our golf team. He went, okay, I can do that. And what he didn't realize is, this guy was an insurance salesman. He didn't realize, wow, I have to take classes.
I gotta go back to school.
Like, I don't want to do that. He was like, oh, so he had to take classes, and they're on the road trip once, and he wanted to go out and get something to drink, have some dinner. So he went, knocked on one of the kids' doors, goes, hey, you want to go out and have a beer and have some dinner? And he goes, I'm not old enough to have beer. And I've got homework to do. It's like, what did I get myself into?
Oh my God.
So those are the kind of stories that I just, run the gamut. But, recently did an episode on how to get out of the bunker, tips and advice and the myths of bunker play. And I did another one on short game. So again, I run the gamut just so we can all learn to be better, smarter golfers.
It's funny when you mentioned the guy playing with a college coach. We had a player that we work with he's going to University of North Carolina now, but he was in his recruitment process, and so he invited me down to play. He lived down in Pinehurst, and so go down there, and he goes, "Hey, come down to play. That the coaches are going to be come watching." And so jokingly, I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, we better hope I don't play too well. They may recruit me." So I could go out and I think I shot right around even par. And
wow!
I looked at the coaches.
Pinehurst?
Yeah, Pinehurst number 4. And so I looked at the coaches. I say, hey, coach, I got a year of eligibility after basketball. And he looks at me. He goes, yeah, you're about 8 strokes off.
Wow.
It was so eye-opening to me of like the difference of high level Division I men's golf, and just even like the quality of the ball. I got lucky on a couple, they hit a rock and bounced in or whatever. And it's like, no, if you're not hitting it on a rope pretty much every single time, we're not interested. So it was pretty funny. So I gave the kid that I was playing with, I gave him a hard time. I was like, how was that? I only lost to you by like 3. And I said, I don't even get a look. That's not cool.
That's one thing that's been impressed upon me by many instructors, that even the club champion, at a country club, this guy could be a +1 or 2, couldn't compete with a PGA Tour player.
Oh no,
Not even close. Completely different thing.
That's what I say to everybody. It's like difference between. So I'm a scratch player. Like difference from me to a 15 or even a 20 is so much farther than from me to one of my tour guys. Like it's not even close.
Yeah, I think. I agree with you. Are you familiar with Proteus? Have you seen Proteus yet?
Haven't seen that yet.
Okay. It's a piece of equipment that gives 3D resistance training. And I was
Proteus with a T, EUS. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you're the
Proteus. Yes.
Yes, yeah, yep. It's the big arm. Yes, 100%. I've seen it. Yes.
Oh, okay. And what do you think? Because I did it. I tested it last week, and I'm actually interviewing the CEO next week. So I'm curious to know.
Yeah, I think that's
from your perspective. What?
If you have the, and this is why I love talking with you, Fred. But this is like I think to me, if you have the funds to have that in a gym, like it's incredible the data feedback it can give you in terms of force output and multi vectors and planes of motion and all those sorts of things. I think the challenge for most people will just be access, right? And that's where we have a similar thing at P4S where we have like flywheels, for example, which we did a lot of research and you get a 150% faster gain in club head speed until then 6 to 10 weeks than you would if you just did regular band training. But you go to your normal.
Does it provide the data?
Oh yeah, it's got a Bluetooth. It gives you outputs, and then ultimately we care about does it translate to club head speed or something golf specific. But then even with that, and that's only probably I guess they just came out with a mobile unit. It's probably $2,500, but like you're not going to find that at the YMCA or the Planet Fitness down the road or right. So there's definitely a lot of really cool technology that's come out. I think to me, and actually I'm going to flip this back on you and all the interviews that you do. If you've seen so obviously you got the Proteus is coming on for you. Like, have you seen any other really cool technology out there? Or even it might be like stuff that maybe was really cool and kind of hard to get like 10 years ago, like 3D motion capture was really hard to get to, 10 years ago. And now you got like K-Vest going out of business, like because it's being replaced by markerless and AI. And I mean, you have to have seen quite the evolution of technology, I would imagine, over the last.
I have definitely seen things come and go. I just love when you like go to a PGA show or something and with all these new products being introduced and you're like, dude, do not give up your day job for thinking you're going to be creating
the entire back quarter rows of all these little, you're like,
I've got a new tee.
Yeah. Oh boy.
No. It's not a career. Although I do have to say the Flight Path golf tees are really awesome.
I haven't seen those. What's the difference with those?
So the Flight Path golf tees was designed by a structural engineer whose dad is an inventor, and he's like, "Yeah, let's work on this together." So the tee, most tees are like a little cup, right?
Yeah.
But that tee, when you put it in a cup, it creates resistance on the ball going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And this is open.
Yeah.
Right? If you can see, it's open and it gives you this arrow here so you can point where you want to place, what direction you want the ball to go, right? And then it has no resistance
going up and off
forward. So it creates less spin, which you want. And I've saw these online, thought, oh, that's an interesting thing. I'm going to try that. And I bought a box and it took me, a box is eight of these tees, and it took me almost a year to go through the 8. They're really indestructible.
They're durable, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the worst part is when you hit a nice tee shot with your driver and the tee flies around and you stand there looking for your tee and your foursomes go, Fred, what are you doing? I'm looking for my tee. It's a tee. No, it's a magic
No, it's
tee.
different. I only got 7 others.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no. You guys come back here and help me find my, oh my God. So anyway, I went through a box. I bought another box.
Yeah.
I'm going, and these are legit. I mean, I'm hitting the ball straighter and farther every time. And then when it came to the third box, I'm going, I got to track these guys down. I need to interview them because I'm fascinated, and did the full interview. And now we're giving them away to our Golf Smarter ambassadors if they want it.
That's amazing.
Right?
That's awesome. That's
so yeah, I've seen lots of things come and go. I think that the greatest find that the two really big finds that I've had, I feel like that I've helped discover, was the Squares golf shoe.
Yep.
Robert Winsquist. I jumped on that early on. There was another one, actually, Game Golf, which is no longer around, but it turned into Arcos. It's one of those things. I found them way early on, and was fascinated by that, getting all that data.
And what were the two differentiators of those two products or companies that, having seen as many as you've seen, like what made them stand out to you?
I don't. With the Game Golf, Arcos, it's getting data on like you can hit balls at the range, but do you really know how far you're hitting it on the range? And you're using range balls, so you're not really sure. So getting that data and using that data, and to me, it was like, okay, I need to find where the weak parts of my game are, not what I'm doing well. What am I doing poorly, and how can I improve that? So that helped out. The Square shoes were just fascinating to me, and they took off. And he's got John Daly and Faldo, investing in the company now. So that was really exciting for him. And the other one was Lab Golf, the putter company, which I first started using in 2019. And Sam, the CEO, Sam Hahn, we had just a great connection, and I like having him on the show. He's entertaining, to say the least.
Yeah.
Then Lucas Glover had that miraculous run in 2023 where he won 2 weeks in a row after having the yips for 10 years.
Yeah, that's the greatest piece of marketing you could hope for.
Right. Well, that's the thing. And that's what I tell people all the time. If you don't get somebody on the PGA Tour to use your product, good luck.
Good luck. Exactly.
Right. It's not going to catch on. And now that Lab Golf has just come out with their DF 3.0, and I'm looking on YouTube, and I'm seeing online people are just going crazy for that putter. And I have to say, I really like mine.
Yeah.
It's a great putter. Because it just takes a lot of, as long as you are comfortable with the line that you pick, it's all about distance at that point. So eliminating, there's two main things: distance and direction. Distance and direction in your putting. If you can eliminate the direction as part of the equation and what's going on in your head, and just focus on your distance, you can putt pretty well. And as they say, untorque yourself. So I don't know what, if I have a knack, I'm just a tech geek, not a golf tech geek, but I've always had an eye for, that's different. That might be pretty good.
Yeah. And then the data component too. Show me that it works. Right. And I think it
works.
I think that's a big thing that a lot of people fail to pay attention to as
golfers.
Like, oh, that's cool, I'm going to do that. Wait. Well, why? Like,
just because it's so cool. Ugly.
Yeah.
Who cares? If it works, if the ball's going in the hole, why would you care what it looked like? Oh, because my friends would make fun of me. Yeah, well, deal with it. And they'll,
they can make fun of you while you take their money. Yeah.
Exactly. I remember I was playing with the DF 2.1 Lab Golf putter, and some guy goes, so what's with the Starship Enterprise in your hands there? It's like, okay, I'm going to use that line. That's good. That's awesome. That's really good.
That's awesome. Well, Fred, I can't thank you enough for hopping on today and sharing stories and just your experience with all listeners. And obviously, for those of you who have not listened to Golf Smarter, you need to head over and check that out. Fred, what's the best place for them to obviously find it? Obviously, I'm assuming.
Well, we're at Golf Smarter. Yeah. We're at golfsmarter.com. And then we put out short clips every day on social media at Golf Smarter. But if you're a podcast listener, wherever you listen to podcasts, either type in Golf Smarter, 2 words, or my name, Fred Greene, Greene. There's an E at the end of Greene. My middle name is Anna. My middle name is Anna, so it's Fred on the Green. I'm kidding. So yeah, wherever
I think you should legally change it to that. I think.
Oh, you want a great story? I got a great story for you. So for my 50th birthday, my wife gave me a puppy, and I like dogs. I like little dogs.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, if this is my dog, I want to come up with a good golf name.
Right.
Divot, no, everyone's used Divot. Yeah. Bogey, no, that's dumb, right? I want an original good golf name. Yeah. And a cousin suggested, well, why don't you name the dog after Tiger Woods' mom? Like, what? Yeah, don't you know who Tiger Woods' mom is? Yeah, her name is Kultita, right? And then what do they call her? Tita. Okay. So your dog's name would be Tita Greene.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Awesome.
That is brilliant. That's amazing. Oh, man. Well, that's a good one to end on. Hey, everybody, you need to go check out Fred and Golf Smarter. We'll put all the links and obviously everything in the show notes for you. And if someone wants to be an ambassador, how do they just shoot you an email, Fred? How do they do that?
golfsmarterpodcast@gmail.com, or click on the Hey Fred button when you go to golfsmarter.com.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks so much, Fred, for hanging out with me. Thank all of you for hanging out on the Golf Fitness Bomb Squad. Hopefully you found today was a really fun change of pace. And obviously one of the guys who was instrumental into P4S Golf and kind of our early days. So it's always fun to be able to revisit where we came from and have him back on. So thanks again, Fred. I'm sure we'll have you on again some point soon. And thank you all for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you on the next episode.